Well, happy Sunday. Um, I know it's been a while since I did a video, and you know what? I did say it was gonna be my last video last time. I think it was after the Bears last playoff game, but I decided I'm gonna come back. I don't know why would I. There's a reason. I just think continuity is better. If I do the video and leave and come back a year later, you'll forget. So why not continue to do it? But I had an interesting night last night. So I'm at BJ's of all places. It's around 9 o'clock at night, probably around 9. Had to get some grapes. And one thing about grapes, when you eat grapes before you go to bed, I don't know how this affects anybody, but this is how it affects me. When I eat grapes before I go to bed, I feel a lot better in the morning. For some reason, I don't feel sluggishly tired, but I feel great. I feel great in the morning. Now, getting back to my BJ's trip last night, I'm walking back towards the produce area, and a gentleman passes me, and I'm saying, "That guy looks very familiar." And he passed me, and I look back, and I said, "I just can't let this go." I said, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me." He said, and I didn't. I said, "You're the legend." And he said, "Yeah, yeah, that's me." And then I said, then it came to me quickly, and I said, "Pee Wee."
He had to save that for the playgrounds. And after the school year was up, he began heading to the most famous playground of them all. Since the 50s, Rucker Park in Harlem had hosted summer tournaments that brought names as big as Wilt Chamberlain and Connie Hawkins to the blacktop to play a version of the game where style was essential to the substance.
The first game you got in on this court here and played like a bum, you was a bum. So when Jerry Sherman came to Rucker, he needed to be known in the basketball world as a great player, or he would have probably figured out a way to deal with his books and keep his grades high.
He said, "That's me." And I came across Pee Wee Kirkland, the legendary street ball basketball player who used to run Rutgers Park. He used to run those. I'm talking about run, not as in organizing, but he was just killing motherfuckers. I mean, Pee Wee Kirkland is a legend. I mean, this is the same guy that played against Wilt Chamberlain and won MVP over Wilt Chamberlain. He is in the HBCU Hall of Fame and was first selected, something like that. I don't know. Behind him was Earl the Pearl Monroe, both respectively. Pee Wee went to Norfolk State University. Earl the Pearl went to Winston-Salem. And there's a legend to the story that Pee Wee was offered an NBA contract. He was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. He turned it down because he made more money selling drugs. Now, let's not get it twisted. Reports are that he did not physically sell drugs, but he funded the dealers to sell drugs, something like that. I don't know. But getting back to the whole thing, it was this guy sat there and talked to me until 10 p.m., giving me a breakdown and historical revelation about Rucker Park and how he dominated. And how many times do you meet somebody famous and they talk to you for an hour? This guy talked to me for an hour, man. We closed down BJ last night, closed it down. And I just, it was the most special treat of I've always like I was in New York a few weeks ago, and I told my wife that I never run into anybody famous. Sometimes I just want to run into somebody famous. You're walking down, let's say 53rd Avenue, you're down in Midtown Manhattan, and sometimes you'll see stars, kind of camouflaged in some sense, but sometimes you can recognize them. And but in this case, man, he was very recognizable. He wasn't camouflaged. Just this is in Delaware of all places. Now he's apparently has a house in Delaware, and so it was just so surreal to see somebody that fame. Now, if you don't know Pee Wee Kirkland, please Google him. Please Google him because he it's everything. If you go to YouTube, he's all over the place in YouTube. But his story is very fascinating, and it's honestly it's not only fascinating, but it's just it's something that some people can really relate to because there are basketball players who are very good at street ball and could have made it to the NBA, but due to life circumstances, they never pursue the NBA. And this is somewhat how Pee Wee Kirkland, this is basically how his life ended up. Life circumstances drove him away from the NBA, but he definitely could have played. A lot of people say that he was probably the greatest point guard to not play in the NBA. It's just unbelievable. I'm out. Um, no Bears news. Um it's the combine. The NFL combines are going on. Nothing new out of Bears camp. I guess my next show will probably be doing free agency, and we'll see who the Bears sign. Hopefully, they get that defensive tackle or defensive lineman that I need because we need. Like I said, what's his name is a waste of time. Dexter, he's a waste of time. Just trade his ass. Just trade his ass tomorrow. I could give two shits about his 6 sacks, which probably came at the end of games. Fact of the matter is, if you're not making a meaningful play when we need it most, I really can't consider you a rising star. That's all I got. I'm out, folks.